It's time for Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Tonight, let us make them remember we are not afraid! No fear here on Declare Your Independence. Here in Phoenix, Arizona, from the beautiful studios of Freedoms with an S, freedomsphoenix.com. Lots of stuff going on, lots of stuff's going to happen, lots of stuff. It won't happen all at once, but it will happen overnight. Well, there's an article we have in the second hour, Scott Horton from Antiwar Radio. We're going to get all up to speed on the Middle East and Iran and what's going on. Syria, here they go. We're going to
come on in.
We're going. Can you hear me now?
Oh, hey, you're overlapping on me, man.
Can you hear me now?
Are you there?
Oh, crap.
Oh, there, you figured it out. You got him, Sierra? Now, okay. So now he's figured it out. All right. Now, what we're going to do today is, it's not going to happen all at once, but it is going to happen overnight. And I'm telling you, overnight is coming, and they're screaming, pounding the desk, we're going to Syria. And I'm going, seriously? And will they get away with it? Well, Karen wrote an article that on Lou Rockwell showed up today. And since we have Scott Horton from Antiwar Radio going to get us up to speed what's going on over there, Karen can help us out from the perspective of what's happening over here. Now, I want to read just a little bit here. She titled it A Cautionary Tale for Robert Full Menu Gates and Helicopter Bernanke. There is an amazing disconnect between the two enablers of the Washington, D.C. oligarchy. One of these enablers is the Federal Reserve Bank of the United States, which just published their latest beige book. The summary of commentary on current economic conditions by the Federal Reserve District is published 8 times a year. And one assumes that the past 20 or so beige book reports would have been reporting a slow, deep decline with anxious notes regarding where the bottom might be. But of course, that was not the case. Federal Chairman Bernanke has remained hopeful, appearing increasingly to be a wide-eyed idiot of a man, serving his role as government banker and chief printing officer with a dedication to false assumptions reminiscent of the Titanic's Captain Edward Smith. Well, if that doesn't set us on the right direction here with Karen Kwiatkowski. Karen, tell us about your article and what you're saying here, because I think it just dovetails right into what we're going to be talking about later in the second hour. Help me out.
Okay, well, I've kind of tried to connect the Federal Reserve policy with, printing money and enabling government to do things, and with the things that it likes to do best, which is, our foreign policy, which is essentially to build military bases in occupied countries to bend them to our will, and, to feed the military-industrial complex, which is quite hungry. So these two things work hand in hand, but the world, particularly, in the United States, as we understand it, as American citizens, our economy, our experience is, very different. I mean, we have lots of problems, in case anybody hasn't noticed. So, but what kind of hit me off on this is something I actually saw on antiwar.com. It was Jason Ditz had, he does kind of a little collection of news things. And he had provided a link 2 weeks ago, I guess it was, to an interview that Robert Gates had done with NPR. And later in the article, I have a quote from that and a link back to that interview. But it was shocking to me that Gates, as the outgoing Secretary of Defense, was very enthusiastic and positive about the level and intensity of future missions of the United States military around the world. You know, even though the questions had to do with, our imminent and, I guess you could say lawful. It was never lawful that we're in Iraq, but certainly the law says we must leave Iraq. So we're going to leave Iraq. We should be leaving Afghanistan. Huge, these are very unpopular wars and occupations, unnecessary. They cost an arm and a leg. They get us nothing. And we've already we've supposedly got Bin Laden now for the fourth time. So I think this is, that's the charm. So, they're asking him, hey, what are you going to do? Everybody's got to cut back. How about you guys? And Gates says, hey, we don't need to cut back. We got lots of missions. The world is just our oyster, and it's glorious. The economy for the military is looking great. And you see this with Gates, of course, and you think about violation of the Constitution, his oath to defend and support it. Certainly, nothing that we're doing overseas with our military is constitutional. Okay, to the extent even of if these are wars, none of them are declared wars. So I don't, and it's particularly with Libya, you can say even the War Powers Act has been ignored with that. The 60-day, confirmation by Congress, we didn't even bother with that. So you've got the military on one side, very enthusiastic about its economic future. And then you have the Beige Book, which this latest report, and every time it comes out, everybody keeps hoping, it's going to have good stuff. Well, this latest one came out, and it had terrible stuff. Stuff's not happening. We keep telling you it's happening. It's not happening. So I think these guys are out of touch with reality, and I just put the two together in this article. But actually, one thing I want to talk about in it is all the crap that's coming down the pike.
Such as?
Well, we're familiar with what we've already had, the bailouts for the banks and the Fannie Mae and Fannie and Freddie, those kinds of things. The government had to take ownership of those things. They're interfering with bankruptcy law. They're worried about all kinds of things, propping up just any type of unsecured debt, secured debt, who knows. It's crazy stuff. And we've seen how the government is doing it. It's total straight Keynesian response, print more money, throw more money at it. Of course, it's not working. Even the Federal Reserve's own report tells us, 6 weeks after 6 weeks, every 2 months, whatever, it tells us it's not working, but they continue to do it. But we are aware of these. These are the bubbles that have burst that anybody who's awake knows. We know this. This is no secret, and now we deal with it. But the ones that are coming, and I list a few, municipal debt bubbles, the debt that has been taken on by cities, towns, communities, and even states. This is a huge problem. Some of it is simply going to have to be written down, and when it does, serious cuts. I mean, you're talking bankruptcy for towns and cities. And we've seen some of that already, but that is not yet, that's like the iceberg that has, there's much that we haven't seen that's going to float to the surface. Commercial real estate. Been talking about that for a while, haven't really seen commercial real estate collapse yet. It will. Lots of foreclosures, lots of collapses there. And then it goes into some weird stuff, and these are things I found on, thestreet.com, but a business reporting stuff. So it's no secret. It's nothing like, this is a bunch of Austrian economists worrying about, obscure things. This is mainstream business reporting.
No, we get from CNBC, they will be cheerleading for the system right up until the day that it goes down. Then they wonder what happened.
That's right. Yeah, that is true. But this information is out there, and these coming bubbles they make sense. So the one they're talking about, and Lou Rockwell's had, I think Gary North has written a variety of things on this, and other people have too. Public and federally aided universities come in bubble, going to collapse. Big problems with that.
Yeah, when we come back with Karen Kwiatkowski, we're going to try and get a better connection. But I tell you this, she has really nailed what's happening. It's coming to fruition, the collapse on every front, and even the bad guys know it. They're just kind of downplaying it, but nothing will stop it. Then what? How many places we got to be at war in time for the collapse?